everybody. Welcome to Monday, or as the smart people like to call it, it's Pie Day. And MJ was like, "What's the thing on my shirt?" So,
For my defense, I'm looking at all three of us, because that's how we do our display. And no joke, the screen I'm looking at of Dan is like 2 inches by 1 inch. So you're probably viewing on a bigger screen and you can tell what the shirt is. To me, it's just like 2 elephant ears and a tusk.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, now I can see it. I can see the elephant ears.
Elephant ears in the trunk.
Yeah. Now I now see that. Now I don't see Pie or Superman anymore. I now see elephant ears and trunk.
So you're Pie Man.
Super Pie.
Super Pie.
Super Pie. Yeah. No, and so, of course, for those of you that are just like, I don't get it. Like, so pi is a mathematical symbol, and it stands for a weird long number, and it starts with 3.14. So March 14th every year, mathematicians or people who just like math tend to have a little fun with it. And so, hence my pie shirt.
And because we want everyone to be able to learn just a little bit with our DJNTV shows, Dan is going to explain what pi really means. And go.
The circumference of a circle divided by its diameter is equal to the ratio of pi.
Dang.
See, I knew he knew the.
He didn't even hesitate on that.
He would know the answer, but yes, that's the ratio.
Dang. Yes. I would have said, it's something to do with the circumference of the circle. I don't know anything beyond that. Yeah. It's as far as I would have gotten.
It's all right. There's all kinds of weird facts out there. And of course, I was reading a bunch of them today. And like, there's a world record for reciting the most digits of pi. 70,000 digits.
Oh, my goodness.
It took the guy 10 hours.
I think I saw the video, and he was a young guy, and he was kind of a savant that can do that.
He had to have done something. I mean, just to get... there's a local kid at one of the schools. The school promoted it. He did like 460, and I was just like,
"How far can you quote down?"
I can get about 10 digits in.
Very nice. That's still impressive for John and I.
Yeah, exactly. There might have been a time where I could have gotten beyond the 4, and then
go ahead, Dan.
I was gonna say NASA only uses 15 digits in their work. So
close enough for NASA, right?
There you go.
Close enough for NASA. It's close
a couple more, and I could work at NASA. There we
go. So tonight, guys, I want to talk a little bit about. It seems that the pricing debate has been coming back in the DJ industry. We've got a couple of different things going on. First off, you've got new people who are wanting to price themselves. How do I price myself for this type of event or that type of event? It seems like for some DJs, they must not have done many 2021 events, because now they feel like they've been off for a couple of years, and now they're finally booking new shows. And maybe that was it. 2021 might have been the redo of the 2020 events, however it works. But I've seen many asking about that are just not sure how to price things. And secondly is we've got people who are out there saying that they're experiencing markets where DJs are so desperate for work that they're willing to do it for next to nothing. Hence why we're going to get into some of the discussion around of doing shows and doing them basically for free. And then the final side of it that I'm seeing people ask about a little bit is how do you make money doing this? Which is all related to how you charge. And it's like these things are kind of bouncing around. So I figured tonight would be a good night to cover some of these and to really get your guys' opinion on it. When is it a time where you're going to do certain types of things is really going to be kind of what we look at tonight. So
I have a disclaimer.
Yes, go ahead.
My disclaimer is that I have not prepared anything for tonight whatsoever.
Well, that's the way I like it, because then you're shooting right from the hip. So let's start in the first spot. One of the common ways when you're first getting started, or even if you're someone like myself who's been doing it so long that you forgot the first years of your life, you're going to have events contacting you, fundraising events, and they're going to talk about doing something for the exposure. We don't have a budget, but both. There's going to be a lot of people there, and you're going to be in front of all these people. Let's talk about the times to take an event for exposure, and when you would draw the line and not take an event for exposure. type of a situation, or wouldn't help out in a situation because it just wasn't in your best interest. So, Dan, I'm going to actually have you start on this one because that way MJ can work a little bit more on his next.
Oh, I'm going to blast something out right away. Because I want to ask, Dan, before you go into yours, can we all tonight use the phrase, am I free to use this phrase tonight? We're talking about DJing for nothing, and we call them free Js.
Free Js.
Instead of DJ, a DJ that DJs for free is a free J. Am I permitted to abuse that word this evening?
Are we going to get into any copyright, infringements?
I don't think so.
Okay, then I think we're good.
You can do whatever you want.
Sweet.
So first off, there's one kind of piece that I want to kind of throw out. There's advice that was given to me a little while ago when it came to donation. All right, so oftentimes you will also, if you don't get a fundraiser group that will reach out with the idea of, hey, donate your time to us because it can be a tax write-off for you. I don't know about where you're living, but in the state of Pennsylvania, at least in central PA where I'm at, that doesn't work. You cannot donate services cannot write them off in that way. It has to be goods, right? And that, well, let me phrase that. My accountant told me I couldn't write it off.
No, you're right. That's across the board. That's an IRS thing.
If you get a official, I don't even know what the form is. Like, say you're doing something for American Cancer Society, they will give you a voucher for an amount that can be used, but it has to be an official voucher from the place stating its worth. And a lot of places don't even want to do that.
And even that becomes a gray area where some accountants don't want to touch that, MJ, because we've talked to a couple of accountants on this, and even at some of the conventions have had accountants come in and talk about it. And then there's here's a workaround. You pay me my normal rate, and then I will give you 3/4 of the money back as a donation, and then I can write off the 3/4 of the money. And even that has have some accountants kind of scratching their head a little bit, and okay, so maybe you could do it, but in an audit, you're probably going to get that could be a red flag, and it could you could get stung for it. So it's a tough area. Okay.
Okay. So to the original question of when you should, my philosophy when it comes to events and when it comes to the free pieces is throw out the whole you're going to get exposure, because I can get exposure a lot of different ways. But if it's not the people that I need to reach, if it's not the clientele that I'm looking for, my main thing is weddings and school dances. So if I'm going to be speaking to a bunch of people that don't fit either realm, it's to me, it almost becomes a little bit of a waste of time.
Right.
Now, what I will say is a good opportunity, and where I usually decide to do is if I have a connection to the organization in some form or fashion, then or I believe in their cause, and that could be because I'm tied to it, or I just believe in their cause so much. Then if they hit me up for it, I'm going to do it. So for example, the local school, the district that I actually live in, they do a mini-thon. Now, for those of you that are familiar with thon, it is a thing that Penn State does. I'm sure there's other schools that do it as well. I'm familiar with that because of being local. And they dance all night and they raise a bunch of money, and it's all that goes to basically kids with cancer. And so I believe in that philosophy. It's done on a Friday night. I don't usually DJ anything on a Friday night, or very rarely. It's always done in for me, it was just actually this past Friday. So again, it was like the beginning of the March, not really having anything even on that Saturday. So it really kind of frees it up. I do a few hours. I make good with the school. I'm also in the good graces with the school, and it's turned into some events from the school.
Nice.
So school is my target. It's an organization that I believe in. And so for me, it becomes a quick no-brainer. I've had other ones who are doing like 5K walks and runs, and I've never even heard of their organization or what they're really raising the money for. I'm sorry. I really appreciate what you're doing, but I'm not available that day. So that's where I kind of draw the line for those fundraiser type of events.
And I think one of the key points is that there's one that you're passionate about, and that if you feel it's important enough that you would do, and even if there wasn't much of a return, you probably would still feel satisfied doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think go ahead.
I was going to say, when I started doing it, it wasn't about the return at that point. Like, there was kind of the idea, like, this might get me my foot in the door with the school, but in the same respect, it was also kind of one of those things. I'm like, you know what? I know. So, for example, our babysitter was one of the girls that was like on the team organization or the school organization. And so she was the one that kind of said, hey, would you be willing to do this? And so it was never really kind of one of those things that, oh, you do this, I'm going to get your prom next. No, like, it was just, again, one of those opportunities to just give back to my local community as they raised money for something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, Dan, you have an event coming up that's kind of that way, that you put more than just your DJ time into.
Yeah. So every year and I've talked about this with some of you guys, so if you've followed the show for a while, my wife and I, and through my company, we do what they call an adult prom, and we title it A Dance for 65 Roses. The entire night is done as a fundraiser for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. Friends of mine started up in Erie. We took the idea and we've been running with it locally. And this is my wife and I. Like, we have a couple of people that kind of help us, like, reach out and get things for our silent auction. But this isn't just, hey, an organization hit me up. This is like, we sell the tickets, we go and buy, all the goods that we have to do. We connection with the venue, we do the advertising, like, everything that's tied to this is done through my wife and I.
Sure.
and a couple of our community. So from that standpoint, that again has been one of those that was a feel good moment. I went up because friends of mine were doing it. I got to meet the family that they did. I got to see the cause. I got to find out about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we did it, we were shocked at the number of people that we knew that were personally connected that we had no idea. And so it instantly became something that we're going to attempt to do. Mm-hmm. This year's kind of been an interesting year, but we're going to attempt to do it every year. And so we've got it coming up on the 26th of March, and it's again, a great night. It's dancing, it's hors d'oeuvres, it's a photo booth, it's open bar. Like, it's a great night and for a great cause.
And again, the night of it, is it a Friday or Saturday?
This is a Saturday.
Okay, so this one, because of it being your own thing, being on a Saturday is just, you probably, though, planned it during the proper time of year, so it's not interfering with your busy wedding season.
Well, the first year we did it on a Friday, and we knew some of the feedback we got was like, it's great, but man, that was a lot to do after work. Like, for us to get ready and for us to come and it was a great night out, but we were kind of a little tired. Like, if you could do it on Saturday, it'd be better. The venue was willing to do a Saturday as long as we kept it in March. They were not willing to give in April. They were definitely not willing to give in May. May is actually the month for cystic fibrosis. They weren't willing to even come near that. Like, they don't give it to us for free, but they give us a very big, like, cut and discount on it because they also believe in what's happening with
Sure. And again, it's somewhat off season for them, so that helps tremendously.
Yes. Absolutely. They were more willing to because of that. And again, that's something to think about. It's a good opportunity, whether you like the idea of exposure or not, like whether you think of it in that way, getting your name out there is a great thing. That's another thing is, people, the more they're hearing your name tied to something, the more beneficial that becomes. So if it's something you believe in, you're going to put more effort into it, and you're going to have your name in that positive light. And if it's during an off season, it could be kind of, you can also get some of those cobwebs dusted off as you get into your system again.
Yeah, for sure. And again, the right time of the year, the right situation, these can work sometimes really well. Sometimes just gives you basically time to knock the dust off get some rust off your skills, and off you go. So times that a person wouldn't, you kind of touched on a few, Dan. Obviously prime dates would be very difficult to be able to do something. For events that you don't have a passion for. Somebody mentioned, I think Mikey Mike, I think, mentioned researching the people. I mean, I've had people approach me for doing something, and the people involved with it were really kind of sketchy. So that was obviously a red flag. Really, anything to that effect would be kind of concerning, and it would make it so you probably wouldn't take the event. Okay. So MJ, I'm guessing over the years.
Show me the money.
I was waiting. I knew it was coming. I just knew it.
So have you had groups approach you to do some things for free for them as a donation, and how have you handled that?
Now, here's the thing, John.
See first comment. Show me the money.
I have been a free J many times in life.
Oh, we need to be using that phraseology more, Dan.
I know.
But I do it for different reasons, because I'm not in the wedding business.
Yeah.
Not in any of that business at all. So I've been a free J before, where I've told big clubs, I'll open for you for free if you put me on the flyer. I leave when I'm done. I go hit my gig. That I've done before, which has gotten me paid gigs there. Which is a great reason to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll always say that if you want me to DJ Top 40 or anything like that, you're going to have to pay me. But if I get to DJ EDM to an EDM crowd, I will pay you. Like, no joke. There is nothing better to me than drop music I love to a crowd I love. So, is that a free J or a pay-to-play J?
That's a good question. You're kind of crossing lines there for sure.
I have done volunteer days for organizations. I used to hold them only to Sundays, where it's like if your event's on a Sunday, I will help out on that. But if it's a Friday, Saturday, stuff like that, I don't do, because that's my day to make. That's my only income day.
Yeah.
And even those I've gotten away from because they are just too. What's the word I'm looking for here? Like Dan said, they don't benefit me whatsoever about getting gigs.
Yep.
Because the whole day, I'll question again, do you do weddings? Do you do birthday parties? Do you do this? No. Well, why are you here?
Because I'm wanting to help the cause.
Yeah, I'm here to help the cause.
There's one that I was a part of for a couple of years, and I just backed out of it because I was like, hey, here's another DJ that'll do it. I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore because it doesn't benefit me. So a lot of that stuff, the free J part of it only comes in. I'll do church events. I'll do youth group events, because there was a youth group here in the city that used to have me come once a month on Wednesday night for their youth group and do scratching during their praise and worship. Never charged for that. A couple other live events when they would have performers come in that had me run the music for the rappers or whatever. Didn't charge for that. So it's very few and far between that I free J anymore, because it's just, you got to pay me. I mean, like, I don't want to go out and DJ for nothing ever.
Right. Yep.
So I mean, it's not about even finding an organization that I believe in and want to volunteer my time. So if I have let's say I have a passion for cystic fibrosis or for American Cancer Society, I'd rather just go volunteer and be a grunt for the day, helping set up and tear down and doing all that kind of stuff. That would make me feel like I've done more.
Sure, I definitely see that.
Even though they would want my worth as a DJ, because to them that is something that they need for the day. But it was just like, I just carry chairs or whatever you want me to do. I don't, So it's not for me. I've done many in the past. What was the question you asked, and how can I specifically answer that a little bit better? Because
you're doing well, and the point I really want to take from that, and I was hoping you'd lay things out like you did, is in my situation, Dan's situation, we have an ability to, with the type of shows we do, we have an ability to make money hopefully off it and look at it as advertising a little bit. In MJ's situation, although doing the early set at a club for free, and in that situation, I never thought about doing something like that. And that's a great way for him to be able to do it, where he can use it, in essence, look at it as I'm advertising for future revenue. And
they see your name on a big flyer of you DJ'd at such and such a place. Yeah, we'll have you. They never even heard you DJ.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you got in there. They don't know that you said I'll do it for free.
Yeah.
No.
Well, and I think that was one of the big things we saw in Vegas this past year, is that a lot of the people who were on stage, got their little 20-second clip, And, hey, I was DJing a big party in Vegas. Or the guys who jumped in the little truck or the little window van and were DJing up and down the strip. And, now they can say that they DJed all through Vegas type of thing.
Yeah.
However you want to spit it.
Yeah. Winter Music Conference in Miami. I can't tell you how many people I know that said, I spun at Winter Music Conference. Do you mean you spun on the balcony of your hotel room?
Yeah.
Well, that's the same. Everybody heard me. No.
No. Some did. But your boombox speakers, they didn't carry as far as you thought they carried.
Yeah. No.
So I think that's a big part of it is, being smart when it comes to that kind of stuff and doing it with within your business model.
Here's something to throw at you that's a little odd that you might want to discuss this. So in the past, I used to DJ both the World of Wheels car show and the Pittsburgh International Auto Show. And they're both the same size. They're in the big giant convention center. They're humongous. Millions of dollars worth of cars are there. World of Wheels is all classic cars, hot rods, American Muscle, stuff like that, custom cars. And the International Auto Show is new cars from the major brand companies. I got so much more interaction from the International Car Show of the new cars than I did from anybody in the World of Wheels group. Only thing I got from that group is people walking by saying, stop playing N music, the N-word music. Yeah. So you have to find your audience, and I learned, well, this is not for me.
Mm-hmm. Very quickly, and that's certainly a part of it.
You have to kind of figure that out. Like, both of them are the same. It's just a different, you have to find your thing. That's all. So I don't know if that will help you discuss anything there, the two very dynamically different audiences.
Yeah, and I think that kind of ties back into, what Dan was saying earlier on, where he, did the school, or the school thing ended up becoming future business because he was playing in essence to a similar audience to his ideal advertising audience. So I think that's definitely part of the process. But I want to keep going here, guys, because I want to hit a couple of different angles to this. Let's move along to the point of we've set our rate, and now we find out that whatever our rate is, we're having to reduce the rate in order to book gigs, or at least we're perceiving we need to reduce rate to book gigs. Whether it's a club and it used to be I could get $200 and now I'm under $100 for the night, whatever it is. Weddings, I used to be able to get $1,000 and now I'm down to $400 to book shows. Well, however it comes out. And my question becomes is, do you ever get to the point in time where it's acceptable to be able to take these almost underpriced shows? And what I mean by that is that it costs you have costs involved with going out. Gas for one thing right now, and all the other variables. When do you get to the point where you're making so little amount of money per hour for your, hour to get there and set up, 4-hour show, hour to get that, break down and get home, that for that 6 hours you're making less than $10 for the whole night type of thing? Does that ever get to the point where you get there and you're like, hey, this isn't worth it anymore? Or you've had events where when you've sat down and looked at it, you're like, this just isn't worth it anymore?
I draw a line quick, and I think that's something, Dan, I'll kind of get your opinion on that for the stuff that you do. Like, you have like, for me, it's kind of easy because it's kind of a standard thing. So no one's going to hire me at a bar or a club or whatever and say, well, what can you upsell me? So mine are kind of standard and set. So I have kind of a number that I won't go below ever. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday gigs will be lower than weekend. And I'm kind of okay with that, because if you can go out on a Tuesday night and make some money that not what you made on weekend, but that's doable. But Dan, do you have a minimum limit on any of your packages or anything like that?
Yes.
Okay.
I shouldn't say I don't discount, because I do, and I did for the one that was coming up, but it was kind of a weird scenario. So, the situation, and this is, I heard it said, I don't remember how many years ago, if Ed Spencer out of Florida, and he's a brilliant mind in a lot of ways. And one of the things that he said one time was, if you discount yourself, let's say you are a $1,000 DJ, and you, whether it's a bridal show or something else, you decide you're going to offer this discount, and instead of $1,000, you're going to do it for $700. You are no longer a $1,000 DJ. You are a $700 DJ. He said, he said, I would rather DJ the event for free than to discount my price. talking like if you're going to go out for a friend or something like that, because the friend's going to talk about what this great deal was. And so now your word is that you're not this $1,000 DJ, you're this, whatever the new price is. So, my philosophy has often been that I don't discount myself. There may be different prices for different seasons, very similar to what you were talking about, different times of the week. But if it's a Saturday and it's from April through December, you're paying my normal price, or you're calling somebody else. I've been lucky enough that I've built my business and it's not my full time. I mean, that's another big element that you've got to consider, but time away from my family means a lot. Mm-hmm. And so you've got to pay for it. And if you're not going to pay for it, then I'm going to be around my family and then I'm not going to worry about it. Now, if I got into a big situation, and one of the things I've already started to kind of look at for 2023 is, have I priced myself in such a way that my prices have now raised a little too high and I might need to start to pull back? But the way that isn't, like I'm going to panic, but you got to keep track. At what point in the year do I need to make sure that I'm booked for that? Because I know that the calls or the emails or the text messages are not going to come in if I don't have something on the books by that point. And start looking at where you're at to determine if you need to maybe pull back. But if you're discounting for someone, you are no longer that new price that you thought you were. You are now whatever that discount price is, because that's the word that's going to go when they tell their friends.
And I think there's a level to that. I was there when I'd heard that for the first time at the convention and such. It's a good thing to keep in mind and a rule to live by, but I also think in some cases, not all, some events you're going to have that one wedding where the bride loves you and she's going to tell 25 of her friends because 20 of them were at the event and the other 5 weren't. And there's a lot of those, a lot of events, though, I think that we do that your price is never discussed ever again. It just doesn't. So I think it's more of a mental game. I know that when I charge $1,000 for a wedding and then I charge $2,000 for a wedding, even if I'm doing a very similar, they have this similar desire, I always feel like I'm doing a much better job at the $2,000 wedding than I am at the $1,000 wedding. And I don't, it's a mental game on my side is really what it becomes. And I think that might be fitting into now I'm a $700 DJ and I'm going to give them a $700 show as opposed to $1,000.
Well, there's also like for example, you said, if you continually do this, and let's assume for a second it's to fill the calendar, it's to say that you're still out, and it's to make $10 that you wouldn't have made otherwise, because what ends up beating yourself in your head is, how many times am I doing this just to make that happen?
Exactly.
And now you've taken yourself down, almost the opposite. Rather than saying, okay, I do a better job when I'm $2,000, now I'm only $1,000. Now do I put the same effort in? Like, if you're a person of pride about your work, the answer is probably yes. But if you do that week in and week out because you've used it to fill your calendar, it's going to beat you up.
I can look at those last minute gigs that a person sometimes takes a lower dollar. And again, I've done it many a time. So weekends open and the bar calls and says, hey, I have nothing, can you do something this weekend? Sure, I'll do it. And I'm going to do it at a discounted price. I look at that as a loss leader, kind of like a store will sell milk at a price below what it costs for them to get it there, because they want you to go in the store. They want you to walk all the way to the back of the store to go to the milk cooler to get the milk, because you're going to probably pick things up as you go back to the milk, and you're going to pick things up as you're coming to the front of the store again, if you're not going back and forth the whole time. So it's a loss leader, and I get that. But if you're having, as you're saying there, if you're living by the loss leader, those types of things, there's something certainly wrong in that situation. Let's see. There's a couple of things in the chat. We need to probably hit a couple of those here, but I wanted to hit on the. Let's do the chat. There was one I think probably need to get to that. Aaron mentions need to know your bottom line, and I think that's a big part of this. Is that I've done videos, and some of you watch the videos where how to price your services as a mobile DJ, and if you go through pretty much any DJ, if they are keeping track of their travel and phone and music and all these different things, gear, you end up with a cost to produce a show somewhere between $300 and $500, unless you've got more labor and larger events. But for most people like Dan and myself, it's going to be between $300 and $500 to get out there and just to get to the wedding. That's not what we're going to pay ourselves for our time and our talent. That's just to get there for the day. So when a person's, having people come and say, can you do, gosh, we don't have much of a budget. Can you do the wedding for $400? That gets to the point now, it's like, okay, so it's like, let's say that is my cost to produce it for the day or to do it for the day. I'm really, yes, I'm getting cash flow to cover some expenses, but I'm not making anything for my time. And that becomes, I think, a concern for myself. I mean, even in MJ's world, MJ, you get situations where clubs are wanting to have you come, 2 hours away. And unless they're going to be paying you more for that appearance, I mean, there's got to be a limit where you say, I just can't do it.
A couple of those I've done because I knew the venue's lighting and, that it's a 700-person venue and there would be some really awesome pictures. It's a boost. They're still covering everything, but that's part of a reason to DJ for less for me at places is like, am I going to go DJ a place that's 750 people packed shoulder to shoulder with laser lights and regular lights and a giant video screen behind me. So every picture I take the whole night, I'm looking like Pimp Daddy, but it's not. Those are reasons to do it. I heard a guy say this years ago. It was a venue that I was looking to DJ at, and he goes, yeah, we pay really well here because we know we don't want some DJ, saying that he won't come out, if it's the weather's a little sketchy because if he wrecks his car, what he makes here won't cover his deductible. We make sure we pay you well. So think about that when you go out and DJ, you're taking your car. Are you making enough just to pay your deductible if someone fender benders you?
Yeah.
Think about that.
The number of times I've gone to a show and I've on setup, I've dropped a piece of gear. And then it's dead. And it's like, okay, I just, the one time I dropped one of my Shure 87 microphone and snapped it in two. Oh. It's like, okay, there was my money for, my profit for the night, because I've got to now buy a whole. It's not like just a little bit of damage. The milk situation, it's a loss leader in milk, and it can be milk, it can be bread, it's whatever. It's not like it's expired or anything to that effect. It's just that it's a grocery store policy to sell something to get you into to have you buy more.
That's why a lot of states have the minimum milk price because they know stores will drop it just to get you to come in.
Yeah, and then those the minimum milk price, especially in our part of the world, is dealt on the farmer side. So we will have grocery stores that will run milk 99 cents a gallon.
Oh, wow.
And they'll run it for, a weekend special type of thing because we just had one of our grocery stores that just celebrated 100 years in business or whatever it was. Maybe, I don't know, 100, 120, whatever it was. So it's something to get people in the store. And we've seen these, big box stores do it all the time. So and the idea within a DJ realm is that if I'm doing shows to get my name out there, but if I'm only doing shows to get my name out there and I'm selling them below cost, time after time after time, eventually I'm going to be broke, or I'm going to have to be funding my business from another source, and that's really, you can't live on loss leaders. Is where I was headed with that.
Keep in mind, someone in there said about the opportunity for photos and stuff like that. I ain't saying that they didn't pay me well. I'm just saying that extra hour of drive and the fact that place stays open till 3 a.m., not 2 a.m., that's a little, I'll be like, yeah, I'll drive the extra distance for the average pay. It was just an average pay for a club. Nothing, I thought it was extremely fair. But yeah, trust me, I don't go out for I said I have my limits. There was a place that a guy was booking me for, and he wanted to start taking a commission fee because he got me a lot of jobs, and the commission fee for there would have taken like $5 off of what I got. And I'm like, I'm not willing to go out for that. He goes, you're telling me you wouldn't go $5 less. I said, I'm telling you that I wouldn't go that price anywhere. Not that you took $5 off that price, that the price I was getting before you took that $5 off is my minimum. And he goes, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. So
yeah, and I think
I understand being desperate for work, and especially younger DJs that maybe have a job or going to school, that this is their beer money or whatever. But you get to a point where business is business. Why we talked about this a couple weeks ago, that you have to remember that the entertainment business is half business, and you have to think of it that way. That it's not just you know, you can give away samples of your food if you make food, but what if you gave away home meals constantly? It just doesn't benefit you. So you have to think of it more of that, you know, your time. I look at it this way too, and this is kind of crazy. My sister, I kind of bugged her brain about this, but I said, I think how much I make an hour at what I do. So I look at everything I do in life to that number. Because if I'm not going and making that money, this time to me still has value. So if I'm going to go do anything, I've got to make it close to the value I make an hour on what I do. So I'm kind of picky about stuff like that.
When you're kind of figuring your value, your hourly rate, what have you, are you incorporating your practice time, the time you spend in your studio doing things that make you better, or are you just looking at the time involved with the Friday event type of thing?
Here's the weird thing. That's where my balance line comes in, because a lot of the stuff I do in the studio, like making the flyers and all that kind of stuff, I like to do. I enjoy it. So I don't have practice time anymore because I just DJ. I don't really care. This is going to sound so terrible. I don't care a lot about getting that much better, because me getting better isn't going to give me higher paying jobs. Me being a turntablist will not get me better paying jobs than I have. That's just a fact where I'm at right now in life. So my time that I get paid for from the venues, I look at the venues. I have minimal amount of time downloading music a week because you guys know I just grab what I need. So I'm spending less than 30 minutes getting everything I need for the week, or maybe once every 2 weeks, less than 30 minutes. And I have everything I need, and all I have to do is go out and press play and mix. So to me, the numbers are per night. So if I'm there for 6 hours, I look at 6 hours plus travel time. And that's usually for me, like, especially if it's here in the city. My tax guy is always like, man, you really need to drive more. You know, you have no miles to claim whatsoever. I said, you got to understand, for me to drive from my house to the casino is 6 miles. So that's a 12-mile round trip for my gig, you know? So it's
$7 in write-off for a time.
yeah. And it's like, well, I can do parking as well. In this state, you can't. I don't know how it is I don't even know what it is, but I can't do parking. If I do parking, then I can't take miles. So it has to be car expenses or miles. You have to do it one way or the other. And I'm like, well, you know, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So, but like, I can't claim any of that. So we're talking 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back, you know. I get all the water I want to drink when I'm there for free. A lot of times they offer me food. You sure you want to eat? We've got an extra appetizer back there. Nobody took, you know. So you'd be surprised what, you know, the one restaurant I was at Saturday, I mean, it's a $75 a plate steakhouse. You know, so when they offer you something in the back, it's good. But
you take advantage
again, I don't look at a lot of that. Like I said, the place that you were talking about that's 2 hours away, I look at the pay as what I make for that night, and the rest of it to me is me investing my time to get there and home, to get some cool pictures, try to have someone there to hold the camera. I've gotten really good. Hold on. I bought this recently for my phone. This is, again, it might be a whole other show, but this is my phone, and I bought a little stand for it that locks in. And I'm doing the whole selfie game, so I now have these little outriggers on it, so I can be doing pictures of myself when I can't get someone there, because that's a big investment, and it just sets up like that, and I get to take pictures, and it's a minimal thing to take with me. But I look at things like that as investment into me. So I'm not giving away something for free. I'm investing into me by getting good photos.
Sure.
So I make it my worth. So to me, having some cool pictures is worth a lot.
Very much so. Yeah. I could definitely see how that.
Sorry, I'm rambling right now.
No, that's good. It's good to be having that point of view.
Yeah.
Dan, when it comes to expenses, I'm sure you've gone through and you've kind of figured out a little bit about what it costs for you to produce a show. When you get close to that number, I mean, are there times where you will go below that number for an event, or is it pretty much one of those things that your time as a person who has a full-time job, family, you get to that and you're like, like MJ, this is it, I'm walking away?
I keep my expenses I'm so fine-tuned on my expenses as far as like trying to keep them low. I'm very frugal. Some people call it cheap. when it comes to those types of things. So it my expenses really becomes a very low point, to the point that I'm not near that. Now, I would say if I was looking at a situation, for example, a 2020, where suddenly things stopped and we couldn't work for a couple months, but I still had my phone, I still had, my bills that I had related to my business, and I had nothing coming in, that had things not opened for us when they did, I may have been more willing to take those discounted last second events to try and fill that. But beyond that, I mean, I've really gotten to the point that, and I'm probably off on this, but the expenses that I really consider my hard expenses, 2 weddings, I've covered them for the year.
Mm-hmm.
So anything beyond that now affords me the luxury of doing extra things, affords me the luxury of going to conventions. I consider that, I budget for that, but if my gigs weren't coming in, I would skip that versus taking a lower price.
Sure.
I would skip, that's kind of the way I look at it.
Excellent. We got a few more minutes, guys. I want to hit one last area. When you've got other people in your market that have quoted lower prices, and you get that dreaded "will you match," which is something a lot of DJs are struggling with because they've got other DJs that they feel in their market that are quoting lower prices, and it's still above your cost of doing business, but it's instead of it being up here, make sure I'm on screen. You're here, still a little bit of a pay per hour rate, but not what your typical would be. How do you handle those situations? And MJ, I think I'm gonna have you start with this one too, because I want to give Dan the final one on this. If you got a bar or you got a club,
I'm muted. Sorry.
Yeah,
I was typing and I didn't want the clackety thing.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer. I am very secure in my pricing and stuff, and if someone wants to go cheaper, good for you. Go for it. Because I know in a while you're going to be like, dang, I really should have asked for more money.
Sure.
I know that without a doubt. Mm-hmm. So go for it. Especially if I know what a headache a place is. You want to go less than that? Psst, have at it. Yeah, I'm okay to wash my hands and walk away. Absolutely.
And how many over the years on that, when you've had a situation similar to that, and they've come back to you and said, "Okay, we'll pay your rate. This cheaper guy just didn't work out for us."
I can't tell you how many times. Yeah, clubs or bars. Bars are the first ones to go cheap, and then they'll hire someone and they'll call you back a week later and go, "This didn't work out. Are you available?" "Well, I am for another 50."
You got to make up for last weekend.
Let them learn their lesson and go, this is what my price is now. I was giving you a discount before. This is my standard price. Such and such down the street is offering me 50 more than that, but I like being loyal to you, and if you want to pay 50 extra, I'll stick with you. Otherwise, I'm going to go down there. I had a New Year's Eve that way. The one place kept, "We want you for New Year's, we want you for New Year's." And I'm like, "Well, what are you paying?" He goes, "The regular price." I said, "Do you realize that the other place right over there offered me more than 2.5 times the regular price?" He's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, the owner's like, "Go ahead, don't even worry about it. We'll figure it out."
You take the money.
They didn't even open New Year's Eve because they were like, "Are you?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's the norm." And yeah, so I'm okay with it. You've got to be able to draw the line, and you've got to be confident in what you're doing. That, again, like Dan and you both have said, that if I lower my prices, then I'm lowering my worth, and I'm not worth that. I'm good at what I do. I'm reliable. I'm intelligent. I work well with crowds. It's just what it is. So.
Yeah. Dan, your situation, you've got, you have these things thrown at you of having to, or the request to match other prices.
Yeah, it's tough to say no, right? Because you have this. It's like somebody's wanting you, and that's the idea. And there's a lot of sales philosophies out there, and people like Mitch Taylor and some of the other ones who have often talked about this. The comeback. If they ask you, okay, well, the fact you came back to me to ask me that, if I match the price, would you want me? Yeah, okay. Well, why? And you get them to talk about why you're better. And in doing so, you prove to them, well, see, that's why I charge this and that other person charges that. And now, I will tell you this, as awesome as that sounds, I can't do that. worth a darn. Like I cannot do that type of a sales tactic with people. It's just, if I get an opportunity to really have a conversation, that's one thing, but I just feel like I never really get into that with them. And I kind of take the other way out, very similar to you, MJ. Like, this is my price. You want to pay the price. I understand. If I'm not in your budget, then I'm not in your budget. And I'm sorry, I would love to be able to work with you, but this is my price. And so if you want me, you want what I have, this is what it's going to cost. And here's one of the other things. Now, last second, I could see where, if you're willing to match, would you might be more willing. But I can, the first opportunity I have, events booked for next October, right? So October, like 2023, I've got stuff on the books for 2023 of next year.
Right.
But I have, like, they just want ceremony and DJ. They don't want any upsell stuff. They don't want any uplights. They don't want any monogram. And I hesitate taking that, knowing that next fall, I could have somebody else that might want that later on this year, whatever, might want that. And we want the uplighting, and we want your photo booth, and we want your whole package. And then you go, so that's almost the same type of effect for me. Like, if I agree to take somebody else's price, I pretty confidently, most of the times of the year, know that somebody's going to come back and at least hit me up for that date. Even if I don't get it, somebody's going to hit me up for that date. And if I'm already booked, that's a hard no on what could be my price, and maybe even upsells. So I can't bring myself to do that match price. And if you're the type of person that can use the language that I talked about, and I think it was Mitch Taylor, and if it's not Mitch, I apologize. But if you're the type of person that you can use that language, go for it, because it's gold. It really is. Yeah. And I've heard other people use it too. It really is gold, because you get them to convince themselves why they want you.
Yeah, Mitch has spoken on that. Alan Berg has spoken on that when he's gone into his sales and pricing. So yeah, there's a lot of great content out there. People talking about how to handle that situation. With that being said, there are times as you that I would. Most of the time I would not. And one of the other is, okay, well, what would you like me to take out? That's been one of the kind of semi-passive aggressive things. Or can we, trim whatever. I jump back to the beginning where we were talking about the difference between a $700 DJ and a $1,000 DJ. When I'm doing a $700 show, I feel like I'm giving them a $700 show. If I start taking things out from things or cutting things back, oh well, we're not looking for this, so we don't need that, and we don't need to pay for it. If I'm not doing what I do and do well, and I feel comfortable with, I'm not going to even give you the value for the $700 show, because I'm going to probably just not be on my game to the level I should be. So
well, and think about this. When you talk with, and I'm going to use the wedding example because of the wedding market, but when you talk with a couple, one of the questions I often ask them is, what are some things that you've seen at a wedding that you like, right? And they go into that whole ordeal. Or, what is your experience at weddings? And oftentimes, because they're talking to a DJ, they start going to the DJ realm, and we really hated the fact that this DJ did this, or we really liked that this DJ did this. And so it kind of paints some picture. But what you don't know is, the mediocre, the DJ, well, he was good, but, there was just, if I start taking stuff out of what I do, if I start taking stuff away from the things that I use to help my performance be better, just because I need to use it to justify my lower cost, the people that are seeing me at that wedding are not getting the me that I want them to see. Mm-hmm. Right. Very similar to what you said, John, about being like the 700 and feeling like a $700 DJ and playing like a $700 DJ. Even if it's still me giving my, what I can, if I'm not progressing with the things that make my value what it is, then that advertising that I do at a wedding, by demonstrating, demoing at a wedding, it is not the best foot forward. It's not your best product. So why would you want to not put your best foot forward? And
you're killing those future referrals, or at least setting that bar lower, so that you're just another DJ who is, running two speakers on a stick type of thing.
But I get it. It's tough. When you're when you're looking at the money coming in and you're looking at your bills and you're trying to make the two of them meet, the philosophy is, if I'm sitting at home on a Saturday night, not working, I'd rather make $200 than make zero.
Mm-hmm.
I get the thought, but I think in the long run, it would hurt you much more than to pick up some part-time job somewhere to fill those gaps and keep your worth where it belongs.
Yeah. And in some cases, when you've got family, it might be better to have that part-time job when the kids are in school type of thing. So that way you can have those weekends for sure. Excellent. Thank you guys. Let's see. Tonight, Howie is going to be up next, DJNTV.com/chill. He'll be in the chill room tonight, and the guys will be doing their recording. Jump in there and hang out with the guys. That starts here at the top of the hour, so 10 o'clock Eastern. Tomorrow night, we'll have a recording from Howie and Brian and the crew at 9 o'clock Eastern. Then 10 o'clock Eastern, we'll be back in the chill room, which is DJNTV.com/chill. And they'll be doing the Tuesday Night Music Show with Brian, Jay, and Howie. MJ, you're off this week yet?
23rd, I am doing the State of Virtual DJ in 2022 show.
Nice.
Look for that on the 23rd.
So we've got then Wednesday night we'll have a couple more of the recorded chill room sessions going up. Then next Monday night, the 21st, March 21st, we're doing our DJ and TV training night. We're going to be going from 6 until 10 o'clock. 6 until 8 o'clock is going to be a virtual exhibit hall, and we're going to be. Let's see, we've got J-Moz coming in. We've got Mixware's bringing in some of their lights, and we're going to have Perfect Portals. And I think we've got one more. We're debating about trying to find out if Evie's going to be coming this month or next month is what the one we're waiting on. So we'll be doing that from 6 until 8. And basically that's going to be kind of a time they're going to show us some new products and talking about some of the new things that are out there with their stuff. And that I'll be interviewing them for that first 2 hours. Then we'll jump into our training for the night. We're going to be talking about basically taking care of yourself, taking care of your mental health, taking care of your physical health. So we've got Stacey Carroll is going to be coming in and talking about some of the things that she's been doing to take care of her physical health. Mike Walter, who is going to be, he's older than all of us in this room tonight. And he, if you've seen videos of him out performing and doing his thing, he's still in his, a little bit older than us years, is still bringing his game at a very high level, and how he's done that and what it's taken to get him there and such behind that. Mitch is going to be coming in and talking about he's been doing some things to improve his health, but he's really going to be focusing more on the mental health side and trying to keep our head in the game, and we're going to talk about that. And then afterwards, oh, by the way, Dan, I'm going to need you for the last half hour, I think, next Monday night. And then you and I will talk about trying to keep what I've been doing here and in my situation to become more healthy and to be more effective in surviving wedding DJ world. So
I want to throw something in here before we go. For health, it's a really important thing to stay hydrated. So, Mega Seg.
See, again, Dan,
almost made the whole show.
Dan's
we almost
here.
made the whole show.
It's amazing. Dan's here, and then these words are brought up. I mean, we just
only Dan. When Dan's here,
only when Dan's here. It never happened. So yeah, it'll be a good week next Monday night from 6 until 10 o'clock. 6 to 8 is going to be the exhibit hall, and you're going to get to see all these videos afterwards if you can't make it to be there live with us. We're going to be breaking those exhibit hall videos down into their smaller segments and getting those up so you can go and check those out individually. And then, of course, the full show will be up there, so you guys can check that out. But DJNTV.com/virtual expo is the place where you can go check out the schedule, and we'll be updating that as we get those final few things put into place. So DJNTV.com/virtual expo. And now we got to go.
Awesome. Well, you guys have got the entire schedule. You know where you need to be. You know what you need to be watching. And so we want to thank you for spending your night tonight with us. Have yourself a wonderful time. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.